Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on Silver Mountain, and welcome back. Now today I wanted to talk about something that I came across the other day, and it kind of supports some of the stuff that I've been talking about before. Most potently, the whole thing about conversations and meaningful conversations, be they about like important stuff or silly stuff or personal stuff or kind of nebulous stuff, they're how conversations are important, especially kind of actual proper in-depth substantive conversations. And so I came across this in the journal called Psychological Science that I occasionally dip into when I'm thinking that I don't need, or rather that I need more ideas for some videos, or I need to flesh out an idea. And so I'll go in and I'll see if there's anything kicking around there. But this study was done by a psychologist called Matthias Mayle, and he set out to study the link between happiness and deep conversation. And the study involved, let me just read this here, involved college students who wore an electronically activated recorder with a microphone on their shirt collar or somewhere about their person that captured 30-second snippets of conversation every 12 and a half minutes for 4 whole days, effectively creating a kind of a log of their day each day, over the 4 day period. Then researchers went through the conversations and categorized them based on either small talk, so stuff like the weather or did you see that TV show last night? That was cool. Water cooler talk kind of stuff. Just like a brief hello, whatever. Or substantive conversations that were talking more deeply about philosophy or the news or stuff that was going on around them. And obviously they labeled some that, like someone who was talking about a TV show, but they were actually getting really into it, and they were talking not just about, oh yeah, no, it was cool, but it was like, oh yeah, no, and I think this, here's my theory about what's going to happen on the next episode of Game of Thrones or whatever else, where it was more deep kind of analyzing of whatever it was that they were talking about as part of the conversation. And so they found that about overall, over the entire sample that they had, they found that the students' conversations tended to be much more kind of deep conversation, with about a third of it being that, and only about a fifth of it being small talk. And of course, there were some conversations like who's going to take the bins out, who's going to wash the car, who's going to walk the dog this evening, that didn't really fit into either, because they were just very practical, kind of like who's doing what, or where should we eat for lunch kind of conversations. And so as a result, those were kind of not discounted, but they were taken in and of themselves as like a collective there. And then the researchers kind of interviewed the students that they had do this, and they asked them to give kind of some feedback over the last few days, kind of in regards to their happiness or sadness levels. And so the results that they found were that for the most part, people who had they say their numbers were where you had a person who was about 46% of the day's conversations were deep conversations. They were the happiest of people. They where nearly half of their conversations throughout a day were meaningful. They had purpose to them. They were on a topic that they could deep dive into. How many people can you guys think of that you've had conversations with where it turned into a really big, overblown conversation that might have been completely pointless? It might have been a completely irrelevant conversation, but just due to the fact that it was a deep, meaningful kind of interaction with another person, you remember that as a good thing. I went to Hannah's for her birthday end of last week, and there were people there that I had not met before from amongst her friends, and yet I had some really great kind of deep dive conversations on philosophy, on coaching, on politics, the various parts of the news and stuff like that. And so apart from the bit where people were asking me how I was so lively and enjoying myself so much without a drop of alcohol in my system, the rest of that night that I remember very fondly was very much around having those conversations with people, really engaging with them on anything, even computer games, and like how relationships are going and all that kind of thing. Very much more meaningful, substantive conversations. As a result, to me, that was a great night, and I'd like to think that the other people who I was talking to on that evening feel the same way. If any of you are watching, please just drop me a like and a comment down below to let me know. But otherwise, in this study, they found that the unhappiest people were individuals who had kind of about, I think it was 22% of the individuals' conversations were meaningful. And so as a result, they've got 80-something% were kind of small talk focused, whilst they found that the happiest people who were having almost half of their conversations being meaningful, only about 10% was small talk. Only about 10% was a kind of, hi, how you doing? You know, the weather outside's miserable, right? You know, there was a much bigger kind of slant between the two, where you just had these individuals who were very unhappy, having very, very small amount of their conversations per day, you know, about a fifth of their conversations per day, ending up as being meaningful, substantive, you know, expansive into other things, allowing you to get to know someone else through another topic, you know. And so as a result, the kind of small talk and kind of just non-meaningful conversations tend to seem to lead towards people feeling unfulfilled, people feeling unhappy. And so as a result, you know, whilst they make a big point of saying, you know, this wasn't the largest of samples, excuse me, this wasn't necessarily the largest of samples, and that they need to do more research to kind of make it a clearer kind of link between what they're seeing a trend in, like, this kind of area so far. You know, their advice and the things that they're saying here is that happiness goes with meaningful interactions with people around you. And so engaging in those, focusing on actually having those conversations and doing those things kind of stands out an awful lot more. And it means that you get to, as I said, learn about people, and they don't say that you will never be able to have a day where you completely avoid small talk. Yeah, you won't be able to make yourself 100% happy by just removing all small talk and always going straight to the point, and kind of creating these expansive conversations, because that's likely to alienate people if you just go straight for it all the time. But you know, you can look at ways to start more meaningful conversations. I mean, you know, where you've got people ask questions to start conversations as small talk. Things like, hi, how are you? You know, they don't actually care about how you are. They don't really care about that. It's just the way that you start a conversation. You know, when people ask me how I'm doing, my go-to response, whether they like it or not, tends to be surviving. It's a one-word answer, and then if they want to know more, then they're going to have to ask more questions, because that's all they're going to get. Because I'm not going to just spill everything that I have in my head, all of these issues that I do or don't have, to them. I mean, I'm sure they would maybe prefer a more positive response, but at the same time, if I'm positive, then fine, I'm surviving and I'm doing a good job of surviving. If I'm having a bad time, then I'm still surviving and I'm still here and I'm not giving up yet. You know, it's a cover-all kind of situation there. But instead, you know, actually maybe going, so what's your story? So where are you from? Instead of just going, oh, how are you? Yeah, go up and actually make more of an impact with the questions that you ask, because all of it comes down to asking questions and getting responses, and how then it turns into a deeper conversation. Like I was asking people about what they were studying, or what they had done, or what they did with each other when I was talking to couples about their relationship and stuff like that. And as a result, you know, that allowed for a more expansive to and fro in the conversation. And then the same was around the other way. I had people asking me about coaching, or about the videos that I'm making, or about my take on news and politics at times. And as a result, you know, that was where I was then able to be expansive, because it wasn't just a, hi, how are you? And me going, oh, I'm surviving, take care. It was a case of, oh, so here's this open-ended question where they actually want to know. Yeah, and it gave me that permission, and it allowed the to and fro, the back and forth between, like, this is how this works, this is how that works, and this is how I'm doing it, and this is how we need to take a look at this, and, you know, what are your thoughts on that? You know, it allowed for a much more kind of organically grown but deep conversation. And so that would kind of be my tip to you guys. If you're currently feeling that you're not happy and that you're not engaging with people, look for the more meaningful conversations, even if they're about silly stuff like sci-fi that you watched on the TV last night, or a computer game, or the stuff around E3 that you're excited for, or whatever else. You know, I was talking to people at Hannah's party the other evening about gaming stuff, and I never expected to be talking to them about that. You know, just on the few meetings I've had with those people in the past, there were some that I was like, okay, yeah, I'll probably end up talking to that person about gaming at some point. But there were a couple, you know, one or two here and there that it just came out of nowhere, and I was like, wow, okay, I didn't expect this. I expected it from maybe their partner, but I didn't expect it from them. And so as a result, that was a really nice thing to see, and it allowed for a really good conversation during part of the evening. You know, it allowed me to get to know those people better, them to get to know me better, and so it all panned out really well. And so, you know, again, looking for those meaningful conversations, looking for that growth, looking for that getting to know people, that's the important stuff, and it apparently also has a great effect on your mood. Otherwise, tell me what you guys think. You know, when was the last time you sat down or stood up or whatever and had just a really meaningful, deep conversation with someone that left you feeling great and remembering all of it? You know, let me know. And how many of you just hate small talk? You know, there's one that I'm sure will really run riot with. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you found this at all interesting or enjoyable, then please drop us a like, share this video with someone who might enjoy it, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.